Spend the next little bit talking about the new subtool options and the remeshing abilities that you can do under subtools now. So in order to do that, instead of making something, I'm going to go to Lightbox and click on Tool. And let's go ahead and grab Union Skin 2. So double click that and open up your subtool menu. And you see a little bit of different stuff going on in the subtool menu now in R3. You've got Boolean operators now, which are these little icons right here that you can switch to. So you've got union, subtraction, and intersection right here. And the way this one's set up, let's go ahead and drag this out on our screen so we can see what we're talking about. We've got the sphere, and if you go into polyframe mode, you can look at all these. I can alt-click through these, and it's basically geometry of all different shapes and sizes and resolutions. And your sphere is set on union, and you've got your rectangle layer in the middle set to intersection, and then the rest of the cylinders, which go all the way through the object. If you turn on transparent and select the cylinder, you'll see it just passes all the way through the object. Those are set on subtraction. So we'll go out of transparent mode and go out of polyframe. And to see what this will all do, we're going to use remesh. Remesh, I think, is supposed to be used to create new base meshes from. You can use it to kind of redo high reses with a couple extra steps, and I'll show you that later. But for now, we're just going to create new base meshes with the new remesh function. So with all of our subtools visible that we want to use the remesh option on, we'll go ahead and go down here, and you can remesh in different axes, as you can see. I think X is on by default. The resolution is the resolution of the unified skin it's going to spit out, and the polish is the amount of polish it's going to apply. And open or close is going to depend on how much it smooths out the actual surface. If you want to read more about that, just hold down Control, and I'll tell you all about that. So we'll go ahead and leave this on open circle. And let's go ahead and hit Remesh All with all of our subtools showing, with all the Boolean operators the way we want. And at the bottom of our selection right here, go ahead and turn this off. You'll see we have a new mesh. Go into polyframe mode. And it spit out the resolution at 128. And you can go in here with your new planer and polish brushes and really clean this up. Or if you want to, you can go in here and create some new base meshes that are even more extreme using the mirror and weld. You can make all sorts of new cool meshes out of those two options. So let's go up here, and we'll go ahead and delete that. And I'm going to go ahead and hit Always OK for now. And to make all these all show up again, I'm going to hit this eyeball icon. You'll also notice right next to the eyeball icon is a new brush icon. That basically turns on your, if you had a polypaint on there, you would see it would be turning off the polypaint colorize. So just a quick way to turn your colorize on or off. If you want to sculpt and get rid of your polypaint and just focus on the details of your sculpt, you can do that, and then you can turn your polypaint back on just using that icon right there. But with this, all these showing again, we're going to go ahead and change this resolution down to, say, 64. And we'll hit Remesh All. And we'll select that and click the eyeball to turn everything else off. And you'll see it gives us a little lower res mesh. So that's definitely a cool new thing in SubTools. That's totally useful and for creating new base meshes. What we're going to do now is use the remesh option to make kind of a new base mesh that we can reproject high-res details to. So I'm going to go under Geometry and under Subtool. And under Geometry, I'm going to delete Lower. And I'm going to rotate this to the left just a bit. And when I mirror and weld, it's going to go right across that line. So when I hit mirror and weld across the x-axis, it's going to give me a kind of a two-faced little creature there. And under Subtool, with a high-res mesh, if I go ahead and hit Remesh All, it's basically going to throw me a new skin. So if I go grab that skin and then go to, we'll divide this 5 times or so. And then if I hit Project All, it's going to project that detail from our head on the inside to that new skin head that the remesh created. And if we go ahead and turn off the original heads, there's a little bit of cleanup work to be done, which I went over in part 1. If you go into Brush, you can use the Z Project and Smooth to kind of do the cleanup part. But that's just a real quick way to get a new base mesh. So for example, if I can just drop this back down to subdivision level 1 now, and I've got all new subdivision level history for that new creature. So that's another way to use remesh. And just one more thing I want to go over in SubTools before we head out. Let's go ahead and hit Edit New. And we'll grab that polysphere. Go into Edit Mode. I'm going to go ahead and do an extraction really quick. One more new thing is if you go under Geometry and you go under, if you go under Subtool, you go under the extract options, you can actually extract a negative value. Type in negative 0.5 for the thickness and hit extract. I'm going to throw an extraction going inwards from that. That might be useful sometimes. As well as, there's now a new close holes function. If you scroll down here underneath the geometry menu, you've got a new close holes option. And that's great for when you're doing things for rapid prototyping, because you can't create a stereolithographic file with any holes in it, or the printer's going to freak out. So it's a totally cool option as well. And I might get back into that if I talk about Decimation Master. But for now, it's the last two things I wanted to talk about in SubTools that's new to R3 that I didn't go over in part 1.